everyone, welcome back to On the Fly. Today we're going to be taking a look at a trade between the San Jose Sharks and the Seattle Kraken. So the Sharks do receive a 2023 4th round pick in exchange for Jaycob Megna. Now this deal is an interesting deal. You have the Sharks, who obviously are in the midst of a rebuild. They're going to start heading towards that path, trading away a lot more of their players. And this is really the first of many dominoes to fall. With Jaycob Megna, he's one of those players who hasn't quite found it yet to this point. He's had a pretty good season so far. He's been paired up with Erik Karlsson. So, of course, when you're paired up with someone who's already in the Norris talks, you're going to definitely have some inflated numbers. Megna is a defensive defenseman playing alongside Karlsson, who's an offensive defenseman. So his numbers in terms of plus-minus are a little bit more inflated, especially on a team like the Sharks, where they might not necessarily be doing it as well. Megna is going to have some inflated numbers playing alongside Erik Karlsson. So with that being said, this deal is definitely a really interesting deal for the Sharks. They picked Megna up this past season in free agency, signed him to a 2-year deal, so there's one more year after this year on his deal. The Kraken are going to, I think they're going to really enjoy Megna as a player. He's a defensive defenseman player who's 6'6", so he has that physical element. He's going to stand up for his teammates at all costs. I see him sort of on the second line pairing for Seattle. I don't really see him pushing the first line. Might maybe come down to the third line, but at the same time, he's going to be playing for the Kraken, I think, for the rest of the season. And this deal, I think, is going to help the Kraken towards their playoff push, coming down to the line for roughly 2 months out before the playoffs start. So with that being said, the Kraken, this deal for them is really the first, I think, of many moves to be made. I would not be surprised to see the Kraken be major players at the deadline, while at the same time, the San Jose Sharks are going to be major sellers. So with that being said, it's going to be an interesting deadline for both these teams. I think with the Sharks going to be a lot more selling, lots of assets to be moved. The Kraken probably going to be looking on the buy side. They have quite a few assets right now in terms of, draft picks, prospects, etc. So with that being said, I do expect the Kraken to be major players, definitely trying to buy their team towards at least a playoff push, trying to make their first playoffs in franchise history. As for the Sharks, probably pushing towards that Bedard spot, trying to sell their team and tanking. And I think it's definitely not a bad choice, especially this year, how deep the draft is. I think the Sharks are going to definitely at least attempt to get to that last spot. You're obviously fighting for Bedard, and with that being said, whenever you're trying to fight for last spot, especially with a player like Bedard, it makes a lot of sense for these teams to try and tank completely. So the Sharks will probably be moving a lot more players, but that's still yet to be seen. The deadline's coming up, so we'll see if any more moves come because of that. But in terms of the trade grades for these teams, I'm going to give a solid B+ for the San Jose Sharks, and I'm going to give a B+ for the Seattle Kraken. Both teams definitely improve. Kraken don't really give up too much in a 4th round pick. The Sharks basically get a 4th round pick for free. They're probably not going to be keeping on to Megna. That was going to be happening anyway. They picked him up in free agency for a league minimum deal, 2 years, $762,000. And when that happens, I mean, it's just a good deal whenever you can get a draft pick, especially in a deep draft such as this one coming up. I think it's a great deal for both teams, which is very rare. I never like to give both teams a good sort of B+. But with that being said, if you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. If you'd like to drop a like, if you really like to, consider subscribing. Tell all your friends and comment down below your thoughts on the trade. Until next time, see ya.